Hello, welcome back to my shooting series, and today is a continuation of video 1. So if you haven't watched that, go watch it, then come back. And we're doing a few separate things today, but they're all very important for the next step, so we gotta kind of break it down a little bit. But first, before we get right into it, I wanna show you guys something new that I am very excited about, and if you're interested, maybe go get some yourself. So if you watched video 1, you'll know that my arrows are sad looking and I need to make some new ones. So I have custom Kaitlyn Moss Outdoors arrow wraps, a couple different colors. And then I also have, I just got these in yesterday, brand new, which also have my logo on them. And I have those in, right now I only have 3 colors. There's a few colors that are back ordered, but I have fluorescent yellow, teal, and fluorescent orange. I also have white, purple, and pink that are coming in hopefully this week. So either way, you can still order them on my website. You just won't get them quite as early unless you get one of these colors. So I'm gonna have you guys pick what I build, and maybe even they'll end up being my hunting arrows for the year. So I've got these different colored wraps. Now, bear with me here. Everybody thinks, oh, they're a little bit off. Yes, like you can tell the orange is not exactly the same as this orange. However, there's a reason for that. These wraps are reflective. So if you are in a state where you can't use lighted nocks, or sometimes your lighted nocks just don't work, or whatever it is after a shot, and we all know how hard it can be to find arrows that just kind of bury themselves. So these reflective wraps kind of serve as a way to shine a light, literally, on your arrow to find it if it hits the dirt, whether you're just practicing in the yard or after a shot. So they do come in different colors: orange, green, yellow, this is white, and purple somewhere in here, purple. I promise they look a little bit better in person than even on camera. Like, this has a silvery finish to it, but that's just because it's reflective. The reflective material is in there. So either way, I'm gonna be using them. I'm excited about them, and all of the specs and the details for weight and everything are gonna be on my website, so go check that out. The link is down in the description if you wanna actually go do some shopping. But we are gonna be doing an arrow build video next. So you guys pick, let me know your favorite colors, what you think I should use this year, and I'll do it. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right, let's get into it. All right, now we are outside. And the first thing that I want to address is something that's a little bit controversial to anyone who has been shooting at all in the past, and that is how to draw a bow back. I semi-touched on it in the first video, where I basically said you gotta lower your poundage if you can't just easily draw your bow back. And when I did that, I kind of showed my bow like this, and then my draw coming down, and a lot of people pointed out, oh, that's a sky draw. No, it's not. And I'll tell you how, and I'll tell you why. I know it's very similar looking, but a sky draw is when, for the record, I'm shooting in a safe distance, just in case something happens, but a sky draw is when your bow is elevated and or just pointed up at the sky and you're back here, okay? So if I were to happen to let go right here, or bump my release, that arrow is gonna go flying, okay? And I know people are gonna say, well, it could go flying the same way if you bump it how I was drawing, and I'll show you why that's true, but it's at least in a safe direction. If your bow is pointed up with the arrow more than like a quarter of the way back, it's gonna go. If your bow's at all tilted upward, regardless of how you're drawing, so a lot of people, when they draw, they fight their bow back like this. Okay? And so you're fighting it, so you don't have control of it, which causes a lot of problems, but you have more of a chance of something going wrong if you are not smooth and fluid in your motion. And when your bow's pointed up, the arrow's gonna go this way, okay? So that's just like a prime example of what you don't want to do. Now, what I did was a target archer draw, and a lot of people are like, well, we're deer hunting and you're gonna scare the deer. Yes, in theory, if you don't time it right, but also this is a series where we're learning and we're trying to grow. You can't have things happen overnight, which is why I really encourage you guys to like kind of follow along in this series with me and be shooting every day and get your strength up and practice and be confident. Because if you don't do the baby steps in the beginning, you're not going to be able to really be proficient at the end. So I know I'm getting a little long-winded, but what I'm getting at is I'm semi doing it incorrectly to show you the steps on how to do it correctly. So it's still not incorrect. A target archer draw is not incorrect, but when you're deer hunting, you don't want a lot of movement, obviously, so I will show you why I do it and how we're gonna fix it. So target archer draw is when you elevate your shoulder and your arm, your drawing arm, versus pulling towards you. You're gonna lift up, and with a lever motion, and then also kind of a push and pull with the bow and the arm, this hand. So you're gonna push with the bow hand, pull with the draw hand, okay? So bow is elevated, but if I let go right now, the arrow is not going flying. So therefore it's not a sky draw. If I had the arrow back, that'd be a sky draw. So right here, it looks like it, but it's not. So the point of a target archer draw is essentially drawing efficiently where you're not injuring yourself. And if you learn to do this, you can draw much, much more weight eventually, and you can shoot many, many more arrows. So if you're fighting your bow constantly, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna literally injure your shoulder. I know guys who've had to have surgery because they didn't do that correctly. So instead of fighting it, why not just use kind of like efficient drawing methods? So as I'm pulling down the bow is when the arrow comes back. So regardless, I'm at this angle at max when I'm about halfway, which is not very much. So this is downhill, that's about level, that's about where it is when it is halfway back. So at most, it might go just over the target. And regardless, you should not be shooting in an unsafe direction, no matter how you're drawing your bow. So let's start there, but this is a much safer route, okay, than fighting it. So I hope that was a good kind of clear demonstration, because I want people to know that I am not sky drawing. I'm doing a target archer draw. If you look at any target archers, whether it's indoor, outdoor, watch how they draw their bow. They all do that. Now, they can do this because they don't have to worry about spooking an animal, and I do understand that, okay? Now, this will be kind of later in the, like when I get to form. We're not gonna talk about form yet, but when I get to that point, I will show you kind of how I draw and how I draw in the woods on a deer. It honestly kind of depends on how you're sitting or standing, or kind of like what you got for space as to how I'm gonna draw. But typically you should be able to just draw your bow straight back without fighting it. And you see how I didn't even elevate the bow doing that. So my point is, when you're first learning, it's a lot easier to push and pull than it is to just draw straight back, right? So if you lower your poundage, that's definitely helpful, which is also why we don't need to be sighted in yet. Don't even worry about that. And it helps kind of work your muscles so you can get some strength in there before you have to pull straight back, because that is harder. It's a lot harder to just have all the weight in your one arm versus having it in two, right? So this is like half the weight in each arm, or all of the weight in one arm, okay? And even me, like I've been shooting, but I'm still at a point of like, I could be shooting more to be able to kind of work that strength. So I know that was a little long-winded, but I had to clarify that because I do get a lot of comments of, oh, you're sky drawing, or, oh, you're doing too much movement, you're gonna scare the deer. Honey, I promise you, if I was spooking the deer, I wouldn't be filming them. I wouldn't be getting shots off. Like, I promise you that's not the case. I'm just here to kind of educate you guys and try to help you do the baby steps to get to a point where you don't have to have a lot of movement. So that's where we're at. We're baby stepping it. So do what you can, but the biggest thing is don't fight it. Lower your poundage and learn how to correctly elevate. The biggest thing is to elevate like your shoulders, because that's where all your movement's coming. It's in your shoulders. Even this one, a lot of movement. You know, when you're drawing, you're gonna do this. That's a lot of shoulder action, right? So we're strengthening our shoulders to be able to shoot. Okay. I'll get off my soapbox, but that is the correct way to draw, and I want you guys to do that this week to kind of address any maybe bad drawing techniques that you have learned. We're gonna forget those and we're gonna start fresh. So that is step one, and we're gonna get into the next point. In our last video, we practiced aiming at nothing. We just shot at the target and we repeated the process until we got comfortable. So today what we're gonna practice is stepping back a little bit, and then also we're gonna work on holding our bow back a little bit longer to kind of work up our stamina. Now, if you are doing what I recommend, and that is learning how to target archer draw, you're gonna get a little more fatigued and tired quicker. So don't stress yourself by saying, oh my gosh, I have to shoot 10 or 15 or 30 arrows. Just do what you can. When you get tired, take a break, or even come back the next day, because if you overdo it and overstress yourself, you're just gonna give yourself like maybe target panic, or maybe you just aren't enjoying it. So it shouldn't be hard, it shouldn't be not fun. Like, we should be having fun when we're shooting. This is fun, right? So don't stress, just do what you can and work up your stamina. And if that means you have to shoot maybe twice a day, maybe shoot in the morning, go do whatever, come back in the evening, shoot before sunset. It's just little things like that that you can do to kind of work yourself up. So, yeah, that's all we're gonna do. I am now, I don't know, let's see, 10 yards from this target. The last time I literally was at 2 yards, and really the only difference is once you shoot enough times at the same thing, it's like, okay, we're on to the next step. So we're just gonna back up. I'm not even gonna hold longer necessarily yet. Just gonna shoot a few, kind of warm up, and then we'll get into really working on holding our shot. So shoot a couple. And I also am running the GoPro. I know I said in the last video I was gonna show you guys the GoPro. I'm gonna wait, I think, until I get to the form video. We're gonna talk about shooting form, and then I'll show you my GoPro shots because I have some explaining I wanna do around that, but I'm also gonna film this just so you guys can see the progression. And we're still not aiming at a dot, not yet. Oh, that one went through. Couple shots, good to go. So now, what I recommend is doing a few days of practicing your target archer draw. And then after you feel comfortable that you are very fluid when you draw back like that, then we're gonna move on to now what I'm gonna say is holding your shot longer. So sometimes when we're deer hunting or hunting any animal, they're moving around or they stop and they're standing there staring at you, or maybe they're not even looking at you, but maybe they're just kind of at an angle that you shouldn't shoot. And you're already at full draw and you're like, okay, come on, like take a step. Obviously you're gonna get tired. Your adrenaline's up. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to make this happen. I need to make it count, whatever. Whatever's going through your head. And sometimes we get so like excited that makes us even more tired. And I personally, I think the longest I've ever held on a deer was like 1:15, and it was a doe. It wasn't even a good buck, but I did manage to get a shot off, but I was so shaky. Luckily she was really close, so I felt comfortable taking the shot, but any longer and I would have had to let down. So there are times where it just doesn't quite work out how we want and we're holding a lot longer. So I think it's a good thing to practice. I think it's good to increase your stamina, and any little thing that you can do to like kind of get your heart rate going is as close to like the real thing as you can get. So that's just another thing that's helpful when you're in the moment. So I'm going to hold just until I start getting a little shaky or a little tired, and then I'm gonna shoot. Again, I'm not shooting at a dot or anything. We're just blank bail. Don't even focus at what we're hitting. We're just gonna shoot and just kind of go through the motions. And I do want you to know this is like, stay under 20 yards. Don't go like past. Okay, he's coming in, he's walking in. He's almost to the clearing. Getting a little shaky. Oh, he stopped. Getting a little shaky, hold it. Hold it. Okay, he stepped out. Now we get on and we aim. Not really aim, but in a real life scenario, you would aim. Okay, I'm sure you could see me shaking a little bit, so that was right where I wanted it to be. Not where I'm like holding for literally too long, but again, we're doing baby steps. So we're gonna work our way up, shoot till you can, and then tomorrow you should be able to hold longer. And then the next day you should be able to hold longer, and kind of work up like that. Take a breather. It's kind of amazing how like fatigued you get so fast. I mean, if you think about it, whatever you're pulling, that's what you're holding. So I'm pulling, I think 52, which is a good weight for me, but if you're not used to holding 52 pounds like this, or if you shoot 60 or 80 pounds, that's a lot of weight to just be holding still. All right, I gave it a few minutes. So now I'm really gonna hold for a while if I can. Not good. I gotta do this more. Okay, that one I jumped a little bit. So that's how you know you held too long. So this last one I think is gonna be my last arrow. I'm gonna start a timer and just out of curiosity see how long. Okay, I'm gonna start, and obviously I'll take a second off or whatever till I get my bow drawn, but go. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna shoot. 37, so realistically probably 34 seconds. Feels like an eternity when you're doing it. That's not good, I gotta work on that. Okay, but that's just a good example of why we should practice this. So that I think is gonna be my last shot because I am, honest to God, I'm so tired already. That just means I have to shoot more. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. It's another little stepping stone for the process. Trust the process. I promise you guys, I would not steer you wrong. This is just what I do every year to kind of get back into it. And by the end of this, I promise you, we will be shooting like pros. I think that's about it. Practice, 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 practice. Shoot every single day, please. I don't care if it's 100 degrees out. 1 arrow is better than 0 arrows. So go do it. You owe that to the animal that we're hunting, and have fun with it. So let me know what colors you think I should do for my arrow build, because that's coming up next, and I'm really excited about that. I also have a total archery challenge coming up, so I need arrows for that as well. But I'm excited, and I hope you're enjoying the series. Again, if you have any questions, ask in the comments. I will do my best to answer them, and I will see you guys later.